So I want to share with you the story of a revival in a little place not far from my hometown of Cairns, and this little place is called Pinnacle Pocket. I started to hear about it in 1983 when we travelled Australia with a band called Jezariah, and one of the gentlemen told us about this revival in North Queensland in Pinnacle Pocket. The story behind this revival is very encouraging because there was a gentleman who bought a pocket of land in the 1930s, and he had been birthed out of the prayer of the Welsh revival. So he comes to far North Queensland, and what he did was he opened his farm and his farmhouse to the people who were working there, many Aboriginal and South Sea Islander people who were working on his farm. He invited them into his home to share with them the things of God and to pray with them. And he called them brothers and sisters, and they were so affected by the way that he treated them. They began to come in droves and to listen to what was happening in this place. But it didn't stop in 1930. This sense of a presence of God continued right through to the 1940s, the 1950s, 1959 and even 1960. Pinnacle Pocket as a church, which was unheard of in these days, was handed over to an Indigenous pastor whose last name was Minicon. It had been stewarded and birthed in prayer and stewarded through those years. Pinnacle Pocket had a gentleman, and I just have to check his name. So his name was Willie Gilbert, and he would go to the little Pinnacle Pocket church and he would pray. He was an illiterate man, but he would speak and share the things of God, and whenever he opened the Bible, he could read. Miraculous stuff. He carried such an anointing that was birthed out of prayer. And there is a story of a woman who was aged 103, and the Lord told her to go and pray for her. That might seem a little unusual. She was in a wheelchair. And down at the bottom of the hill, the bean pickers were picking on the farm that day, and they heard this mighty shout and yell and scream, and she had got out of the wheelchair and she was walking. You see, when you pray, things happen. Another story he has is he was travelling on a train to Herberton, and he was sitting in the carriage on his own. He was a man of prayer. And he said nothing, and yet everybody in that carriage got on their knees and repented before God because of the presence of God that he carried, yet he hadn't uttered a word. This little place has had such a powerful effect because so many people have come out of this revival in Pinnacle Pocket of such incredible places of prayer, hours of prayer, days of prayer, conventions of prayer. Many of them have gone into the Kimberleys, into Darwin, into Adelaide, down into the southwestern parts of Western Australia, up into our part of the world. Birthed in northeast Queensland has been this incredible revival out of Pinnacle Pocket. And there's another one in Innisfail, but that's a story for next time.